Julie is clearly a fan of Ian.
Ian, Ian, I'm so impressed with you, Ian. I wish I
So
could hug you, Ian. Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Talk.
with real siblings,
Hey, what's
we
up? Welcome
back.
back. So we just finished the Thursday night eviction episode. We're going to run that down for you. We're going to let you know who won HOH. If we know that by the time, feeds come back up. Hello.
We'll see.
What's up with that? So yeah, let's get into it.
So to start off, we're talking about fake Franzel. So this whole week has been a lot of fakeness going around, but particularly once Ian got put on the block last episode. So it's Ian against Tyler. The committee wants to keep Tyler, despite the beef him and Danny had. They've kind of squashed that. Everybody wants to keep Tyler in the committee. The other half of the house and Nicole wants to keep Ian. Obviously, we know Nicole and Ian have been best buds throughout the house. They're the only previous winners. It makes a lot of sense. They want to take each other to the finals. So Nicole went on this campaign. She told Ian she was going to campaign for him, and she went on this campaign that makes sense in theory, right? She does want Ian to stay. She's being genuine in that sense. On the other hand,
She didn't try that hard. Okay. She didn't. The episode made it look like she had this super tough conversation with Cody where she was really trying to convince him and trying to be super persuasive and like, yo, Cody, we have to keep Ian. Actually, she didn't say yo. Enzo would say yo. She would say, we have to keep Ian. Like, it's just not fair, which is what she pretty much said. That was her pitch. That was her argument. So I mean, she didn't really try that hard. And to give her some credit, probably because she knew there was no way they were going to keep Ian over Tyler, Cody and Enzo and Memphis were firmly against it.
Yeah.
And Danny and Nicole are firmly in favor of listening to what Cody, Enzo, and Memphis say. So sorry, Ian, that means
clocked. You clocked. So Nicole went on her fake campaign. It didn't work. However, it did have this weird effect on people who really should know better by now. So Kevin and Devon obviously want to keep Ian. Actually, not obviously. Nothing is obvious from what they do anymore. I never understand what they're going for. But they wanted to keep Ian. They thought they would have David. That's 3 votes. They only needed 1 more to force a tie. And Danny had been saying that she wanted Tyler out, and they still kind of bought that. So they assumed Danny would evict Ian. She wasn't going to. However, Nicole's campaigning made them think they had their 4 votes. Kevin, because Kevin has literally never not told literally everyone everything literally that ever literally happens in his brain.
Literally.
Thank you. Went to Danny and told her Ian had the votes. Would she break the tie? Now, if Danny's already been saying she wants Tyler out, you don't need to ask her if she wants Tyler out, unless you don't think she wants Tyler out, in which case she doesn't want Tyler out. And so she took that information and she went to Nicole, and then Nicole flipped the votes. So the result was Ian went home due to 5 votes, that being the committee, including Nicole, and 3 people voted for him to stay, that being Kevin, Devon, and David. However, Nicole and Danny in the committee are going to pin those 3 votes on Nicole and Devon and Kevin and use David as a sacrificial lamb unless he wins HOH, which he probably won't, but we'll get to that.
And, it's a really good setup, especially after, this past week of David's poor acting and trying to trick the whole house that he didn't have the power that everyone obviously knew he had. So it's going to be easy to convince even Devon and Kevin that David actually flipped and voted to evict Ian.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
So before we talk about Julie's interview with Ian, which we will get to, definitely, we're going to talk about the goodbye messages. So Tyler dropped a bombshell, which was very smart and very good gameplay. He told Ian about the committee. Now, this kind of calls back to Paul versus Josh in Big Brother 19, where Paul and Josh had been in all these alliances, and they got everybody out, mainly Paul. And in each of his weekly eviction goodbye messages, Josh would tell people what had happened in the house and what got them evicted, which, if they come back, problems. But if they don't, it looks really good at jury when you feel like you've been upfront and honest with people. Tyler borrowed that technique. Clearly, he had thought about this beforehand. It's very smart. And I think it'll work well for him.
Yeah, I think it was great. When I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, ooh, tell him, Tyler, tell him." You know, that was super smart, and I love that they played it before they played Nicole, because Nicole kind of did it. She didn't do it fully, and I think that's going to work to Tyler's benefit, because Tyler was like, "Yo, here's the name of the group. Here's every single person I'm working with, and your girl's Nicole is in that group." And then Nicole goes up and is like, "Yeah, I'm working with a group of people," and just kind of left it vague like that. Tyler said it all. So it'll be interesting to see what Tyler continues to say in his goodbye messages and how he's trying to now set himself up for the win.
Let's talk about that interview. So Julie is clearly a fan of Ian.
Ian, I'm so impressed with you, Ian. I wish
So-
I could hug you, Ian.
If you didn't,
Really, we get
it was less threatening, but equally devoted. If you didn't see it, there was a moment. So it was the usual, you did a great job. She's clearly a fan of the game, and she clearly loves everybody who's gone this season. She gushed similarly about Janelle and Kaser, etc. But with Ian, she literally had to take a moment to collect herself. Like, she fangirled. Julie Chen fangirled.
She's like, "Your answers are classy. The way you left was classy. Even that 3-piece suit is classy." I was like, "Julie, I was like, if she had spent less time fawning over Ian, we could have actually seen who won the competition by the end of the show." I was like, "You guys were 30 seconds away from showing us who won, and you had to cut away. Like, come on."
Yeah, so the HOH competition, it's a puzzle comp, which is frustrating because Ian probably would have done well on this one, actually.
Yeah,
But it's
he
a
would have
puzzle
done
comp.
well. But this was
Definitely.
Caitlyn's worst nightmare. She's probably screaming at home, tearing her hair out.
It was
Why? Why
way
did you
more
do
than 3 pieces. I don't know how she would have managed this one. But it was like they had to build a tower or a chess piece. I
It
didn't
was a
see.
fire hydrant, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had to build a fire hydrant. And we got them started, and it looked like they were off to a good start. It looked like it couldn't possibly take more than 5 minutes for anybody not named Caitlyn. And yet, the episode ended. So we're still waiting actually now to see, are there any results? Are they back from?
No, feeds are still down. Feeds are still down. And yeah, the episode ends and they're showing the credits, and like Cody, Tyler, and Memphis are halfway done. So, and Davon is probably around the same pace as Kevin, and I couldn't get a good look at how Nicole and Christmas was doing. The Christmas was, kind of there, but it really looked like Cody, Memphis, and Tyler were just running away with it.
So I think a few interesting things can happen this week. We're in a really weird position where I think a lot of the house probably wants to throw the competition. Most of the people are targeting the same person. However, it would be easier for them to not get blood on their hands, and they're probably safe even if they don't go on the block. Davon, Kevin, and David are not in the committee, and Nicole is an honorary member because she's white. Realistically, none of the committee would necessarily want to win this competition. They're just going to have to put up all the black people and send them out. And it doesn't matter who wins the veto. It doesn't matter who's replaced. One of them is going this week, unless somebody wants to flip it. Danny's not competing. She's the only one who might be trying to side with Davon and put up a member of the committee. I think Tyler probably wants to throw it. He definitely doesn't want to put Davon up right now. Cody has been throwing a lot of things. He
doesn't need to win. If there's anybody that doesn't need to win, it's surely Cody. He does not need to win this.
He doesn't. On the off chance that, Davon's strength aren't puzzles. David, I don't know what his strengths are. Maybe he could win it. Kevin, maybe he could win it, even though he's not great at puzzles either. On the off chance that either of them wins it, I don't think they're coming for Cody anyway, despite the fact that he's the head of the snake. So Cody's fine. Tyler's fine. Enzo is probably super fine. Cody seems to think him and Enzo are soulmates. Maybe Memphis could win it, and maybe Franzel. If David wins it, I think he'll put up Franzel because she betrayed their vote for Ian. If Kevin wins it, maybe David could convince him that Franzel was the one who betrayed their vote for Ian. But I don't think David or Kevin are in position to win it, and I think the other people want to throw it. In a weird way, David or Kevin might win it because everyone else throws it. Who knows? I'm actually really confused as to what could happen right now.
That's true. I didn't see how well Kevin was. I didn't see how well David was doing. So maybe he was one piece away. The only other thing that could throw a wrench in the committee's plans is this new. Maybe it's a twist we have coming in at the very end. Julie says a Big Brother legend is moving in next door and could possibly shake up the game. So it could mean anything. It could mean Kaser's coming back. Janelle's coming back.
I mean,
Dr.
it's
Rilla's
not
coming.
that.
It's not that, no.
You know, it's going to be like Mr. Pictacular or
I
like,
think
who's a
so.
legend that we all don't necessarily even like that much. It's going to be somebody like that.
I like Mr. Pictacular. I like
Yeah, I
Jesse.
mean, he's not a
or,
legend.
or it could be like
It's going to be
who's
Jeff
that
and Jordan. They're going to move in as a couple next door. And it's not even be game related.
with
They
all
just,
their children
that's
just causing trouble and yelling at everybody, babies crying all the time.
That's it.
It's probably going to be, who's that comedian guy that always comes in the house every few seasons in like some weird costume yelling at the guests, and like he's usually like in some weird outfit.
He was
It's
in this
probably like
season
that
already.
guy.
He was at
He
that
was?
Zoom meeting competition with the
Oh,
HOH, I
that's
think.
right.
Yeah.
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 It's probably like him coming back to yell at people or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be enough to like really shake up who's leaving this coming week.
Yeah.
It just kind of seems like a fun thing that could possibly
Also,
change.
this is an all-star season. Technically, all the Big Brother legends should be in the house already. So I don't know who is this legend that didn't want to play all-stars. They
Bloop.
wanted to show up for a week. I mean, they have
Bloop.
to get COVID. I mean, right? They probably have to go through COVID testing, do all the things they'd have to do to play the game. They just aren't going to win money. It's probably not a legend. I guarantee you it's like Nicole Anthony. It's gonna be something very
That's a good point. The fact that they would even call this new person a Big Brother legend, it's like, oh, if they're such a legend, why aren't they in the house? But the way they had it, it kind of looked like the person would be like staying maybe like on a balcony, so that could kind of maybe get like around the whole COVID safety thing. Like if they're 20 feet away, then
yeah, but then
maybe
what are
that's
they
what they're
doing?
sitting.
Are they just going to shout out advice? I mean, we have the wall yellers. We don't
Maybe-
need legends. We already
Maybe
have
they're
people
there giving
impacting the
game
game.
advice. Maybe it's Dan coming in to give game advice to people.
So quick predictions. Who wins HOH? Who do they put up?
Oh man, I think Memphis wins HOH.
Oh.
And I think he puts up David and Kevin.
Damn, that's so good. And that's exactly what I was going to say. I think Tyler and Cody are going to throw it. I think Tyler and Cody would beat Memphis. I think they're going to throw it. And I think Memphis will win it and put up David and Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hopeless is what I'm saying. There's no hope. Everybody go home. Cancel your feed subscriptions. Turn off your televisions.
Burn it all with fire. It's just done.
In the words of Julie Chen, there's no hope for any of us, and hell is on its way. Good night, everyone.
And with that, you're not going to see me in hell, though. I'm going to heaven. I don't know where y'all going. I'm going to heaven. With that, all right. Like, subscribe, comment below, and we'll see you next week.
On Real Talk.
With real siblings. Deuces.